in the way of the Lord, they come back. Maybe you have seen such children also. Some of them even come when they're as old as I am on my 4th floor, I am old. Some people come back when they're as old as I am, And so it is always important that we train up our children in the way they should go, even when they are old. They will not depart from it. They will recall, they will reflect, they will remember, and they will come back. Now, since we are looking at child development to begin with in a whole, when we talk about children, we are talking about neonates, okay? Children that have just been born, even those that are in the womb, because even those children learn, by the way. We are talking about neonates up to about young adulthood. Because a child of 20 years, a person of 20 years is ideally still a child, isn't it? Yeah, they're not yet so grown, even when they're going to university, They're still children, okay? Because I teach children at university, and I know that they're still children because they still come back to you and they're vulnerable. They're children, okay? So when we talk about children or childhood, we are talking about the child that is in the womb, because like we all know, those children hear and listen. As a mother or a father, if you're a father, you have a wife that is pregnant. When you're a mother, you are pregnant and you have the baby in your womb. When you do certain things, this child begins to communicate. They actually show you that they recognize, okay? They know what is happening. And normally, if the fathers practice, like they come and touch the womb or something, the child has a way that they react when it is their father and when it is their siblings that touch their womb. It's very interesting, okay? I have mothered 3 children, but I am also a 5 bravida because I miscarried twice, And I know what I am speaking about because I know it is real, okay? If the father touches the womb, the child can tell that this is the father, and there is a way they will react. You will hear them kind of jerking in there, and feeling like stretching, When it is their siblings, because for them they come with a lot of sting and vibe, and you will hear the child will also respond somehow. Just try it, okay, and see. So when we are talking about child development, we're running all the way from neonates to adolescent, and I'm thinking even up to 20 years. Because I still feel a 20-year person is not yet grown. Like I've told you, I teach these people, and I have taught them for over 15 years again, okay? And I still know they are children because of the way they act, okay? So we have a number of stages of child development. The very first one that everybody thinks about is the prenatal, where we have the neonates up to about 1 year of age, when the child begins to stand up and fall down and lean on things and try to, to move around. And then we have the infancy and the toddlerhood, where we have 1 to 2 years of age. Okay, again, those are also beginning to realize they can talk. They're beginning to realize that, they can tell who is good and who is bad to them. They know when they need something to eat. They can also begin to think they can feed themselves, And then we have the early childhood, which is 3 years to about 8 years old. Now, 8 years old is a big stretch, okay? But at that age, a child can actually think for themselves. They can do a lot of things for themselves. They can even cook and eat their own food at that age, okay? Because my children, by the time they come up to 8 years, each of them knows how to cook, even boys. So you cannot come to my house and I have an 8-year-old and I am not there, even if he's a boy, and I get worried that you will not be comfortable, okay? Because at that age, they are really able to think, they are really able to create, they are really able to plan, okay? And then we have the middle childhood, which runs from 9 years to 11 years. At this point, they are feeling like, they have grown, they don't want to be, like pampered, they don't want to be told things. Then we have adolescents, 12 years to about 19 years old. These ones feel they're adults. They get ashamed and they blush every time you do certain things that make them feel like their friends are watching and all that kind of stuff. So we need to know these stages so that we know. At the age of 20 years, This one feels they are adults, but in some way or the other, they are still dependent. Because like I've told you, I teach these people. For the last 15 plus years, I've been teaching at Ugema University. Some of you may know, okay? And so I know that at 20 years, a child is still young, even when they are remaining with 1 year to graduate. Because normally they will come to uni when they're about 18 plus, 19, 20, 21, then they're out, okay, for their undergraduate levels. But still, they're still children, because there are certain things that they'll come to you and you really feel that they need a mature person to hold their shoulder or to give them a shoulder to lean on, okay? Now, so much about the stages of development. What I'm really interested in is nurturing and growing talent this afternoon, okay? Now, I know that as parents, there are so many things that sweep us around today. We're torn between self-development, and yet at the same time, we've got to develop our children. And that at the same time, we've got to be able to make sure that we all live comfortably. We are able to provide the resources that the children will need for them to be able to survive and grow bigger and, you know, become the better persons that we want them to become. Now, I went through the stages of development for purposes of realizing that actually much of the church representation that we have got are children. Because if you look at, I don't know what the population statistics are here, but I want to think the children are more. Am I right, my teacher, Mr. Laban? Yes, yes, I'm happy to see you. Yes. Today
we are about 760.
Uh-huh. The small ones. And when we come to the youth that go up to about 20, university age, children. Very good, okay? So I know the statistic cannot be any different from many of the other churches. And so it is a big thing. And when we are at church, when I grew up incidentally in town. But even if I was in town, I did not grow up in the village. But even if I was in town, I know very well that our parents and their friends, the village mate, neighbors, and all that kind of stuff, everyone was concerned and cared about the other person's child. Now, today, that may not be very real. There are still people who practice it. I do. When I look at because children love me, so all my neighbors' children know me. When I am passing, our auntie, you know, so they'll wave at me. So I can't find a child doing something that's not right and I wouldn't talk to them. I'll get them aside, hug them, and speak to them, okay? Now, that's a rare thing today. You may find so many neighbors who do not care. They don't care, okay? They don't care, this is a child or whatever. But growing up, we all know that at least the people, majority who are here, as parents or guardians or soon to become parents, you know, coming over to the other side, okay? We all know that it's very important to have a kind of network of parenthood. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but I hope you understand. A network of parenthood where everybody cares for everybody's child, especially so like a church like this. Okay, I hope this is here as well as a culture, okay? That if you found my children and you know them and you find them doing something that's not right, you would ideally stop and speak to them. I have defined my children to run all the way from neonates to 20 years, okay? Those are the people that I'm calling children. So they all need guidance. They all need to be nurtured. They all need to grow in their talent, okay? So there are 5 ways that I identified that we can, that you can identify and grow the natural talents in children. We need to know that each child is born with innate talent. Everybody in this world is born with talent that needs honing with time. Now, parents, Sabbath school teachers, and pre-primary school teachers maybe can help in tapping into the dormant talents of children at an early age. Okay? All of us have a responsibility to tap into the dormant talents at an early child and an early stage. Now, when you look at this baby, for example, who is walking here, okay? You can see. This child has a talent that is exhibited. Are you seeing any talent in that baby? Yes, what are you seeing? Huh? Pardon? The child can run, his feet. And probably would be able to lead. Because a leader is, you can see. This boy doesn't seem to have any shyness or whatever, So already, when you look at him, that boy could become a very good leader. I'm serious. I don't know who the parent is, but for me, I already see a very good leader. Huh? Yes. So you need to nurture that talent. Okay? You need to nurture that talent. So each child is born with a innate talent that needs honing with time. Parents and Sabbath school and pre-primary school teachers can help in tapping into the dormant talents of children at an early age. As children grow and realize their inner potential, it begins to boost their confidence and helps them in their proper cognitive growth and development. Now, I know so many times in church, because I have headed the children's department over a very long time, and I know very well that many parents think either it is the work of the teacher at school to develop their child's talent or to tap their child's talent and nurture it and grow it, or the teacher at church. Now, today I have come and I am affirming that there is a network of people who are responsible for nurturing the child's talent and growing it and making the child able to get the confidence to bloom and withdraw their talent for the public to see and utilize. Are we together? And the best person is the parent. The best person is because you probably are supposed to stay with this child longer than any of the other networks. Are we together? There are so many stakeholders. I'm looking at a network of different people who could help. Are we together? But the best person and the most suited person is the parent. Because you should have the best interest of this child because it is your child at your heart. And no one else can take that place. I have repeatedly surprised teachers at my children's schools. Some of us parents, your children go to school and even the teachers do not know you. Is it possible? But go to any school where my child has gone and ask for Angela or Mommy, Teddy, Samuel, David. They will tell you they know the parent. Even my fellow parents somehow get to know me. Why? Because I am concerned deeply. Because I know it is my sole and first responsibility to nurture my child's talent. No one else is going to do it better than me, the parent. No one. No one else can do it better than you, the parent. It is you. So mummies and daddies who give excuses, their fathers who say, those things are for the women, for the mothers. You see, the father is the leader in the home. When it comes to matters of nurturing, then you don't become the leader. It doesn't work, isn't it? The mothers, I should say you are the caretaker of every business in the home. So when it comes to the caretaking of the nurturing of your child's talent, then you get off, you back off? No. Okay? So, I want us to realize that as children grow and realize their inner potential, it boosts their confidence. And nobody else can support this confidence efficiently and effectively more than the parent. I know that I have supported a number of students, even at university. There are students who call me their mother, truly, and they represent me and tell everybody that's my mother. Why? Because I probably caught something that nobody else realized before even their own parent and brought it out of the student. But this should have been done at earlier stage by the parent. Are we together? It should have been done by the parent. I am a mother to so many Somalis. I'm a mother to so many Kenyans. I'm a mother to so many Ethiopians. I'm a mother to so many Tanzanians. And of course, many Ugandans. A very serious mother, you know. And the children will listen to me, and graduation, and even before graduation, they'll introduce me to their parents and say, you know, we found a mother at school. You understand what I'm saying? Eh? We found a mother at school, but only because I got interested in this child and probably supported them to shoot their talent out to fruition. Are we together? Okay? So indeed, it's a delight for parents to see your little ones flourishing and sharpening their skills and interests. But it's not always easy for children to know where their true talents lie, especially when the options are so many. Some children, of course, are multi-skilled. They do so many things and so well, everything and so well. I am one such child when I was growing up. My mother is now dead, 2018, September 20th, okay? But if she was alive, she would still tell you, even up to today, when I am grown, she still could not understand who I am. Because I can't be seated in one place and I am thinking about A, B, C, D, and somehow I am going to be able to do all those things and finish them. And so she would say, but Angela, you know, she would not understand. Now, some people will look at such a child and they feel maybe that child is confused. Do I look confused? But I know there are children like that, you know? Are we together? There are children like that who can be confusing, you know? They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do that, they want to do that. And if you actually gave them those tasks and gave them the opportunity to do them, they would do them. And so you get confused, okay? So that's why we are saying it's not always easy for children to know where they truly lie. Now, because of that, therefore, we'll look at 5 specific ways how parents and guardians can identify and help them grow their natural talents, okay? So one is to nurture the inner possibilities of your child. But to do that, you must follow his or her lead. Do not force your child to become what you want them to become. Do not force your child to follow your ways by hook or crook. Okay? So, to nurture the inner possibilities of your child, you must follow his or her lead. It's not very easy because sometimes we think we know and we want to protect them, okay? But it's important that we let them, you know, like explore. Wear the heart of a guide and quietly observe the specific attributes that your child inclines towards. Look at what kind of activities interest your child. What do they like to do in their free hours? Excuse me. What excites them? Now, based on your observations, you can then begin to suggest activity options to your child. But of course, this takes a keen parent and or a keen teacher. You understand? It takes a keen parent or a keen teacher. If you are not keen, it doesn't mean that you have to sit there and just be there and watch children. But there are certain things you do. There are so many things that you do with your children all the time at home. Discuss with them during prayer time as you are, you know, like praying, and you ask them to probably make discussions and all of that kind of thing, you know. There are certain things that come up and you begin to notice, okay? So it's important that you are able to be alert and give time to the nurturing of your own children. Okay? So based on your observations, you can suggest the activity options to your child. But also bear in mind that it will be your child who will ultimately decide whether he wishes to continue long term or not. And don't get hurt. Okay? However, when you follow the child-led ways, it's easier for parents and children alike to maintain continuity in their skill development. Okay? It's very, very important. Now, I already said give it time, and I'm repeating. That's my number 2. Give it time. Don't rush. Don't panic. Sometimes we panic. I'm a very emotional person, so there's a tendency to panic. But because I am conscious, I know, I then check myself. But sometimes we may not be able to do that. Okay? So, give it time. It's very important to follow the child's cues for identifying and developing a child's talent. But know that children may be fickle-minded too. And in spite of their talent, they may change their minds and refuse to get their training after a given point. Maybe they felt embarrassed, just like that, all of a sudden. And they could freak out and refuse, and say, I'll not pursue that anymore. So as a parent, as a teacher who is responsible, as a stakeholder in the community, okay? Because I want to believe that in our churches we should maintain that parental stakeholdership in church. Are we together? That every child that I have in church is my child, and I am responsible for their well-being, for their nurturing, and for their growth. Okay? So, as a stakeholder in this child's growth, sometimes, by the way, teachers may know the children more than their own parents. At KCC, where I stayed longer in the children's department, there are so many children that I knew better than their parent. I'm not bragging. To an extent that, for example, when we had the VBS or camp meeting or special days for children when they had to perform, some parents would give me their children to take them to my home for training. And I stay with the child like for a week or 2 weeks, and by the time they come back, they are Superman, according to the parent. But there's nothing special that I did. The child just felt they had the opportunity to bloom. And that's all I do. I give the environment, and the children are normally doing the same thing. We wake up in the morning, we pray, we cook food together, we eat, we study, we do what we have to do. If we are preparing sermons, we sit down and give a timetable and say, at this time we shall do sermon, at this time we shall clean the house, at this time we shall, In the evening we'll pray and go to sleep, and we wake up. Then we go back to church. Sabbath comes, the child is supposed to present, probably maybe it is a presentation, and the child who was shying away and could not talk and could not look eye to eye to people is confident in front of everyone and speaking freely. And the parent is like, what magic do you have? There's no magic. It's because I have given attention. And this can be done by every parent. Give your child the attention. Be keen. Look out. What's the advantage point of this child? What talent does this child have? What is it that's captivating this child? What does this child like? Okay? So for me, if you bring me a child and say, Teacher Angela, I would like you to train my child, I want him to present in church and be able to speak confidently and do this confidently and that, yes, I'll do it. But before I do it, I also look at the child. And for me, I look at a child and I can tell that this child is actually going to do it, And I'll say, okay, yes. And so because the children know that sometimes they go to Teacher Angela's home, they're like, Mommy, I want to go to Teacher Angela's home. And if I have time, if I'm not so busy, I'll say, yes, it's okay, let them come. Because then I know I'll watch them more closely. You understand? Because yes, I'll go to work, but I'll come back and sleep in the same house with the child, isn't it? And I'm able, during those 2, 3, 4 hours that I have, to look at this child and see them, okay? And understand. So normally when they come, the first day is for learning who they are. So as we sit down to pray or whatever, I am learning this child, more. Even when I have been seeing the child at church, maybe they are my friend and so on. But now I have an opportunity to look at this child at a more closer distance. And so I probably have an opportunity to help them, to nurture them, to bring out their talent properly. Okay? And this can be done by any parent. If teachers at church can do that for you, if teachers at school can do that for you, why not you, the parent? So today my advocacy is that parents should be the first people to identify the talents of their children and the first people to support their children, to nurture their talents and to develop them and to bloom them so that they are out and able to present them to the world. Are we together? Okay? Yes. So, I just said that in spite of their talent, they may change their minds and refuse to get their training after a point. Now, some already talented children may get influenced by their best friends, by the way. Like when we get to the point of age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 19, those children begin to brush after they see people look at them deeply, or when they see that when they do anything, they know that people are actually noticing them, and so they are cautious, okay? And because of that, sometimes they may want to do things or to get influenced by their best friends, and even just the crowd. And they may want to enroll themselves for activities which may not be their cup of tea. Now, such cases need meticulous or careful handling by the parents. If you think your child has the necessary skills to advance in a particular activity, yet this child refuses to continue in it, you will have to devise ways to ensure that your child retains interest in the same. You could even allow a temporary break, if need be, but you must make a quick or sooner come back to the same case so that the child doesn't get comfortable in their comfort zone. Are we together? Okay? They should know consciously at the back of their hand, at the back of their head, that, you know, mommy, daddy is cautious about my talent and they want me to move on, and they know that you are watching them and that you are willing to support them, you know, and because you're willing to support them, they will give it a try. Are we together? They will give it a try. They will not let it to sink, okay? You just need to find a way of coming back sooner than later all the time, and repeatedly, never getting tired. Never tire, okay? The third thing that we always need to do is when we observe the natural aptitudes of our children, we should praise them. Observe the natural aptitudes of your child and give them due recognition. If a child does something and makes a stride towards achieving a specific talent growth, praise them. It doesn't take anything away from you, does it? Simply saying, you did that so well, I'm proud of you, you know? My children know that even when teachers want to put them down, I will not allow them that. I will praise them. And I will even go to that teacher and speak to that teacher and tell that teacher, I have learned that you are demeaning my son or my daughter. But I would like you to understand that as a teacher in whose hands this child is, you have a responsibility, you have a duty to grow this child to success. Whether they are feeble and not able, it is in your responsibility to support them to become stronger and confident in whatever they ought to become. Are we together? So if you're a teacher and you are here, please make sure that you remember that you are responsible. But even as parents, some parents abuse children and shout at them. I don't want that to be in church, but it can happen because it does. I told you I've been in the children's church for long, and I've seen all kinds of things in parents. Some parents also shout at their children in a way that I should say carelessly. And this hurts the children. I am one very tough parent, but you'll not find me abusing. I will be stern are the words that I use, but I will refrain from abusing. Because it goes longer in the child's life, you know? It stays longer. It's more sustainable in the child's life. And the child feels abused, and they feel it sometimes gets them to a point of depression and withdrawal. Okay? And when they withdraw, then it may be very difficult for you to nurture a particular talent out of them. Are we together? Okay? So praise your child. Observe the natural aptitudes of your child and give them due recognition. Also, accordingly, guide them towards sharpening those special skills. This will boost your child's self-esteem and motivate him to realize his full potential. So you see, this man needs recognition. Have you seen? Yes. I waved and he kind of blushed away, but of course he was happy. He felt good. Yeah? Yes. So once you notice the hard work put in by the little ones, or even the young adults, or even the youthful adolescent children, praise them for those sincere efforts. Recently, I will tell you on this particular one. Thank you very much. Recently, I went to my child's school. He's in P7. That's my last child, David. So when I went to the school, it's exactly 2-3 weeks ago. I met one of his classmates, a girl. And she came to me and said, I am called, did she say Blessing? I am called Blessing. How are you, Mommy David? I hope you're the one. I said, yes, I am. She said, I love you already because of what David speaks about you in class. Wow, I felt so good. And I asked, so what is that? And she said, you know, David says you're a very kind person, and you're very caring, and you're very loving. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yes. And I said, did he give examples? And she said, yes. And she said, and I would like to be your friend. And I said, that's okay. I gave the little girl a hug. And I can assure you, every time I go to school and she's still at school, she makes sure she comes to greet me because she will expect a hug. You see, there are small things that we do in our children's lives. While I thought I am one of the toughest parents that there are, that is a compliment I receive from a third party who does not even know me, whom I do not even know. You understand what I'm saying? So the little things that we do, we must always try to praise our children. It's a very, very important thing that we need to do in nurturing our children's talent. Number 4, inform and enrich. When nurturing a child's hobby or talent, it is important that he or she understands the subject of the talent or the topic concerned in depth. And you as a parent, by God's grace, I think you're given the wisdom because you've had a long span of life, longer than the children. You've had a number of experiences, which in my thinking should be able to nurture you to be in position to at least have a little overview of an in-depth understanding of that particular talent topic. Are we together? So don't shun away, because you've been here longer than this child. My expectation is that you've gone through quite a number of experiences that will bring you closer to a point where you should be able to share with this child, you know, a little in-depth understanding of their talent topic, okay? So, for example, if your child is pursuing music, speak to them about the various types of music. Introduce the greatest musicians in the particular type of music that you're thinking about. Now, don't go for reggae, of course, our church children, okay? But you'd give them the different types and give them the advantages and disadvantages. Because my expectation is that you should have that experience at least, okay? You've lived longer to be able to have the position that's most suited to train your child and to speak to your child about this, okay? So introduce the greatest musicians, their achievements, and etc. Now, there are many indirect ways to provide background information about the particular activity to sustain their interest and curiosity, because the children will be curious, and rightfully so, because they are children. If a person as old as I am is still very curious, I'm one person who is very, very, very inquisitive, very inquisitive. I want to know something to the depth. I will ask questions and ask and ask and ask. Recently, I met a person who was our neighbor when we were very, very young children in primary school growing. And I was asking him a lot of questions. And he said, Angela, you are still the same young Angela that you were when you were a child. You know, some people would hide away from you because you had too many questions to ask when you came to mommy's office, you know. So they are curious. They want to know. Let them know. Tell them whatever you can tell them. Share with them whatever you can share with them. Let them understand, okay? And then lastly, help them understand what they love. One child may have multiple talents, like I said at the very start. Another may take time to discover his or her natural talents. We are different. Even these fingers are different. There is no need to fret over this, for each child is unique. Now, how adults can help children to identify and hone their talent is by opening the doors for them to explore various opportunities. Give them opportunities. Parents should try to ensure that their inherently gifted and talented children enjoy different experiences, be it arts or sports, maybe cooking, and so on. This will help children to pursue what they enjoy doing most. You could have boys, and they are probably going to become the best chefs around the world. But if you don't give them an opportunity to burn their fingers and get into the kitchen and explore the different spices that you have in your kitchen, how will they learn? You see? The first time I learned that my children could actually prepare the best cuisines that you could meet on this planet in the boys' world. You know, if you came to my home and got my sons cooking for you, especially Sam, the second one, you would not believe the meal will be so delicious. And he enjoys his cooking. You know, he cooks, then he gets to the kitchen, then he gets into the cupboard and puts the spice, and then comes back, and, you know, and he's really enjoying what he's doing, you know. So you'll find him in the kitchen, and then he gets this, and then eventually he says, food is served, you know. And indeed, when you come to the table, you are salivating, and food is really served, you know. Okay? So help them understand what they love, you know. Like I told you, children have varied potentials. They have a lot of talents, sometimes undiscovered, many times discovered, but need support to be nurtured, you know. So give them the environment. Make them feel free. During COVID, I just said, away with maids, we stay alone. And everybody had a kitchen day and a kitchen time. And I can tell you, my children surprised me. The boys were young. They have now grown, of course. The last born is in P7. But they did do wonders that I never expected before. Of course, I knew they knew how to cook. Because I am an iron-handed mother, you know. Whether you're a boy or a girl, you must do the chores, okay? You must learn how to cook. But, you know, they surprised me. They did so many things that I never knew they could. I never knew they could, but I just gave them the environment. I opened up for them, and, you know, they did everything that they could, you know, just like that, you know? So, I want us to look at, the Children Ministries, the General Conference Children Ministries website from NADS, North American Division's Children Ministries Certification course. And I will take us through exploring fun and interactive ways to teach Bible stories to children. And this was prepared by Linda May Lynn Ko. Okay, so I will share that immediately. Okay? And I liked especially this because I thought, what better way to show people that actually doing things with our children, doing activities with our children. For example, you are given work in the Pathfinders. The children are given work in the Sabbath school so that you can go back and work with them through it, isn't it? Okay? So, but what do we do? What's the special bit about it? What's so different about it? What's so difficult to do this work? Nothing. There's nothing special. We have resources all around us, even as parents. We are actually better suited as parents because we are in a home environment. We have seeds. You have beans, you have nuts, you have plants, trees around you with leaves, with flowers, you have grass. You have clothing and pieces of clothes within the house. You probably have thread, which you can play with. Even things as simple as toilet paper rolls. I mean, this toilet paper, the things that they roll on the toilet paper, you know? Any sort of paper, You can get crepe paper, you can buy ribbons to exaggerate the feeling, you know? But there's no big deal. You can do some printing, But you may not probably have the opportunity to have a printer. But you can use paper. You can get a pen in your house or a marker, okay? And just 1 minute. I packed something to come and use, but I forgot them at home. There are so many things that you can have in your house. Of course, as a teacher, I have whiteboard markers and markers in my house. But you may not have them, but you probably have colors. You have colors, you have paper. You can access clothing. You can access so many things. So just simply get children using any bit of anything. Okay? This is a sticker. This is a stick mark. I mean a glue stick. These are markers. This is a scissor. And these are stick notes. But there are so many things that I can have around me. And I can use anything. There are flowers in the garden. Even as I pass along the road. There are leaves. You know, there are clothing that are old clothes that I can use and do some patchwork quilting. And so many, many things. Okay? So let's look at Bible learning activities as advised by Linda May Lynn Cole, who is the Children's Ministries, in the Children's Ministries department at the General Conference. So what are Bible learning activities? Now, these are the things that we are given in our children's classes to go home and support our children so that they come back to church when they have done their work. But also for their own good and for my own good as a parent. Because when my church grows up in the learnings of the church, they actually become better people. When I went to Bugema Adventist Secondary School, where I met Mr. Laban as my teacher, they used to tell us that they are teaching the mind, the soul, and the body. And true. So many of my classmates who were Muslims, who were not Muslims, were not Christians, and were probably bad-charactered, today have either found their roots to church, in the Seventh-day Adventist church, or if not, they have brought their children to the Adventist schools, or if not, they have associated their children somewhere, somehow with the church. Because they know there is something special they got from Christian education. Are we together? Okay? So, when you are given this opportunity to share in the nurturing of the talents and developments of the talents of your children, take it as a privilege. It's a great privilege that can never be priced. Okay? Take it as a great privilege. So what are Bible learning activities? Bible learning activities are those that we learn by doing real or simulated experiences. We do something, we feel it, we experience it. Okay? And that's exactly what happens in the children's church. You can see these children here. This one is reading a book. The other is holding a globe, and they're playing with it. But you see, by the mere fact that they're holding a globe, as baby as they are, this is probably a 2-year child, okay? As baby as they are, they already feel like they are part of the world. You know, they are feeling like they're touching on the world. They're touching on a globe, you know? And that already plays something in this child, and it keeps this child beginning to nurture and to kind of trickle something in their brain, okay? So, Bible learning activities lead children to the Bible. Okay? It is not busy work. Not at all. The work at church is not busy work at all. Yesterday, I found out that my son had not done his Pathfinder work. He was supposed to produce a sermon on, I think it was 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy 12. The one that says, do not look down upon yourself. Yes. So he had to do that sermon. And then he says, you know, I don't have data. And then I said, no, you don't need data to do this assignment. Go to the Bible, get the key text, make an introduction, but come up with a title of your sermon. what do you want to talk about when you read this verse? And I just opened up to him because he felt like he was lost. Like, me, I'll not stay in Pathfinder. I'll go with you to Mount Olives. Then I said, no, I will take you to KC and leave you there, okay, for your Pathfinder classes in the afternoon. I'll go. Then I said, no, but you can still do this. Today is a Friday and it's kind of free. So I said, think about a topic. Read the verse twice. And he read it. Then I said, okay, what topic do you come up with? Then he came up with a topic, and it was befitting. And I said, wow, Now when I told him, wow, he jacked. And he's like, oh, you mean? And that already made him feel like, I can. Huh? Then I said, now, think about when you read this story, go back and read where it comes from and get a background, Try to understand why this kind of verse has come. And he came back with a background, and he says, Paul helped Timothy when he was young to make him feel like he cannot be despised because there is something that he can also do for the Lord. And I'm like, okay, you can do this, okay? Then I said, now come up with 3 or 4 points that you think people will learn from this sermon of yours that they will not forget. Only 3 or 4 points, and expound on them, and then make a conclusion. Then he started, okay, I'm going to say, you can be an example for God. I said, good. Then you must set the example. Then I said, good. Then the third one, he said, but you must not let people step down on you. Then I said, good. I said, but I'm going to do a 4th one. I don't remember what the 4th one is. And he made a sermon. And he was done. And he made a conclusion. Very simple, you see. But you see, if I had let him fret from that, he probably wouldn't have. And today, I know he's going to present his sermon. He's probably doing it. And the teacher, Dr. Irene, must be very excited and happy about his sermon because I thought it was good. You see? Yes. So, learning is not busy work. You as a parent, there's not so much you have to do. The child has to do their learning. And all you have to do is to open a door for them and present an opportunity for them to be able to learn. Are we together? Give them the opportunity to learn. It is meant to help children to understand specific Bible concepts. The activities that you give them are not lectures. Okay, you see, I'm a lecturer and I have a tendency sometimes to kind of take these children as if they are old people. But I'm always conscious, okay? Because, of course, children are my friends. I love children. I teach children all the time in my life. Even as I get home, as I walk out of home, I have all children along the paths of my neighbors and everybody, our auntie, passing. So I'm waving all the time. So my children keep saying, but Mommy, you are so much of a celeb. Eh? That's why they say, you're so much of a celeb, But I like it. It keeps me going. Eh? So I do teaching of children all the time. Every time I have an opportunity. And I like it and it helps me. So it's not lectures. It's learning by doing. An activity is something that you do. And it creates opportunities to experience something. Eh? When you do an activity, it gives you an opportunity to experience it. Eh? Because you begin to feel in it. Eh? To be in its presence and to walk through it. Eh? So it becomes very easy. Are we together? Okay? When we do activities, it is very difficult for us to forget what we did. Students remember what they do. If students cannot recall information from the week before, teachers who are here and parents who are here, chances are that they did not learn much. I just told you yesterday I went to teach my students at school. Because we said holiday or not holiday, our time is bad. We need to meet, okay? So I met this student with their child, and they had homework which they had failed to do. And the child comes in my presence. In 1 minute, we are friends. In the next 10 minutes, the child has given me their work. In the next 30 minutes, we are done with the work, and we have learned how to write our name. And the mother is so envious and is like, what? For only this 1 hour you've been here with my child. Eh? You have changed my child. My child can write, I think she was writing 2 and writing it in a very funny way. Eh? And then 9, I don't know how. So I just taught how the child to do a pencil grip. Simple. And you know what I did? I held the child's hand, and put my hand on top of hers and taught her how to hold the pen, grip, and grip it straight on the, make a firm grip on the paper, okay? And then told the child, do a stomach and a stick going this way. And the child did it, you know? And the child was able to learn. And the mother was surprised. She has been teaching this child how to write S, how to write 2, how to write, I think 9 and 6 and 8, and was a problem. For me, when she was drawing 8, I just said, draw a ring and draw another ring. And the child did it perfectly well, you see? There's no magic in that. Is there magic? No. But the mother went home and surprised, she said she's going to tell the husband. She just couldn't understand how, you know, and the children were feeling so comfortable. The kid came and sat here and was putting her other hand on me like this, and so happy and feeling so comfortable and relaxed, you know, and doing her work very well. And eventually she went back home when all her work is done. But she came when she had failed to do even the first number. Okay? So if students cannot recall information from the week before, because she told me she had been teaching this child this number 2 and the S and I don't know what for how long, and the child has not caught, that means they didn't learn. They need to be more actively involved in their learning. It is them who are learning. It is not you who is learning. So make sure you give them the opportunity to actually learn. Okay? The more one experiences, the more one remembers. In this hall, I have some students of mine. There are people I have taught, even at university. I am one teacher who doesn't feed you. Students say that women's classes are difficult. But when they leave my classes, they've understood because they've done the work on their own. Hey, they've done the work on their own. Then they come and present to me, and then I say, here you should have done this way, here you should have done this way. But at the end, you have actually learned. Are we together? You've learned, okay? And that's the essence. You must be able to go out in the field and exhibit what you learned because you took the opportunity to do it yourself, okay? So the more one experiences something by doing it, the more one will remember, okay? So why do we use Bible learning activities? Maybe to give you a little bit of statistic. When we look at percentage of information remembered, if people just hear, many times the percentage understandability is almost close to 0. And this evening, I will end by making us be able to participate, okay? When they see, they probably are able to remember a little bit more because they saw. But when they hear and see, the percentage rises. As you can see, it is going up to about 50%. When they hear, see, and do, it goes all the way up to about 80%. You see the difference? So we need to know that as teachers, as parents, we are the first teachers. But even as we teach, even the teachers, it's important that we let the students do. Because when they do, they experience. When they experience, it sticks in their brain. Because they remember very easily because they did. Are we together? Okay? So it's very, very important that we do that. Characteristics of active learning. Many times the emphasis is on learning and not teaching. So as the teacher, consider it your responsibility to make the student learn rather than teaching them. Because when you teach them, you tell them what you want them to hear. And yet there is something that they can do to explore on their own and learn. The learner processes information. As they do, they process the information, you know. They begin to remember, I did step 1 and went to step 2 and went to step 3 and I concluded in this step. Okay? Because they have done. Everyone is involved. You, the teacher, are involved because you're cautious to guide. The student or the child is involved because they are actually mingling into the thing. Okay? The teacher covers less material, but more is learned. Adults debrief students on what they learned. It's very, very important. And kids use a variety of materials. There are a number of things. You will always find in my bags at least a pen. You'll find a sticker. You'll find a marker. You'll probably find a pen and a pencil in all my bags somewhere, somehow, and maybe a piece of paper. And when I interact with children, I'll always have some paper to provide for them to use. At least if I don't, I will have a stick marker in my bag. And first of all, why? Because it has multicolors. And children love color. Are we together? And so because of that, you'll find the child really sticking and learning because they are attracted, first of all. And because they are attracted, they get interested. And because they get interested, then they actually do. Then they experience it. Are we together? Okay? Simple things. So you can have simple, nice notebooks in your bags. Mothers and fathers, simple notebooks, which are nice. Advantages of active learning. Children learn and remember more. It gives the teacher, it provides a teachable moment, okay? Because the child is able to be taught. Because they are excited, they are attracted towards learning. And learning is self-directed. The child begins to think through the process of learning. Each person is actively involved. If you are in a classroom and each child is given an opportunity to experience an activity, to actually do it, everybody becomes busy. And you don't have to worry, okay? Kids have a measure of control in their learning situations. Do not fear to let them. Children have a choice of activities. They can also choose. And at the end of the day, and most importantly, nobody gets bored. Everybody is excited. That's why you see when we come to VBS, for example, Vacation Bible School, children are excited because in Vacation Bible School, we have mostly doing. Are we together? People are doing and experiencing. So you find the children really, energetic, excited. They want to come very early in the morning. The parents don't even have to wake them up. Unless it is the wrong VBS. But if it is the right VBS, children will not be woken up. They will wake themselves up to come. They will not give you any headache getting into the car or bringing them to wherever to church. So nobody gets bored. Everybody gets excited. Everybody wants to learn. But of course, there are disadvantages in every good thing. These are good disadvantages, however. The noise level may be a lot higher than expected. When you're actually doing the teaching, like I am doing now, everybody is quiet. I don't like it so much. But of course, this time I have the responsibility too. Okay? So the noise, however, if everybody was, then you would hear a lot of, busyness in here. It would be like a market. Okay? And then you may need more materials for kids to work with. Like I said, you don't have to worry about these materials. In your home, there are a lot of things. There is thread. There are clothes that are cut. Get a scissor. If you don't have a scissor, you can use a knife. Hey, use a knife, use a razor blade, But maybe razor blades are not very good to keep, but you can use a knife if you don't have a scissor. But it's very difficult not to have a scissor in a house, isn't it? Use a scissor, cut things. Get some stick glue. If you don't have stick glue, use engano, make flour, put it in a little water and let it stick. Some people used to use cassava starch. When we were young, I remember some people used to use that starch to kind of hold things. So find something, okay? You need to be organized. However, adults don't get to talk so much because the children then will be learning and give them an opportunity to learn. So those are the disadvantages. Now, kinds of Bible learning activities. There are research activities for children who are a bit older. Like now my son is 12 years, okay, this year. He's in primary 7. He comes to me and says they told us to make a sermon. He can do some research. I told him, go read the Bible, read about the story that comes before, compare with the text that you have gotten, and get a kind of preamble. Understand where this text comes from. Why do they bring this text here now? Okay? So get the background story, understand, okay? And then move forward. So this child can research. A child who is 6, 7 years old, 8 years old can research. Don't fear. Okay? Yeah. They can do map studies. They can do dictionary searches. They can do concordance searches. Like for him, he even told me, hey, Mommy, I have my Ellen G. White concordance. I'll go and look at it. And I'm like, okay. on his phone. Huh? Bible search, okay? Kinds of Bible learning activities. There's creating writing activities. Children of all ages put thoughts into words by writing or tapping. They can write letters. They can write poems. They can write raps or song lyrics. They can do Bible stories. They can do classroom newspapers, advertising copies for faith or virtues, so many things. Recently, I think his P6 end of year, that was December, they were told to write poems about COVID, the experiences that they had in COVID, and another one. They told them to write 2 poems. And his poems were the best. He got to stand in front of the whole school and present his poems. Why? Because I gave him the opportunity. What did you go through in COVID? There were so many bad and good experiences at the same time, and so many opportunities to learn. And so, yes, he brought out all the things very well and concluded and made 2 poems. Huh? And the teachers loved them. The children loved them, you know. So, creative writing activities. And all children can do this. Art activities. Children of all ages express themselves through color and line. But of course, there are children who don't like to draw. Like the David I'm talking about, my son, he doesn't like to draw. He doesn't know how to draw. He draws funny things. Eh? But there are different ways in which he can express his talent. Are we together? He's very analytical. He sits down and thinks through something very well. Eh? From beginning to end, given good guidance. Are we together? He's not very good at drawing. He will draw bunyonyenkule, probably because I'm also not very good at drawing. I don't know. Eh? You see, the things do not come from heaven. Eh? Okay? So they can do posters, they can do painted pictures with captions, they can cut and paste collages using news magazines, words and pictures, greeting cards, picture books, stamps, silhouettes, etc., etc. They can do so many things. Because, like, for example, in schools, they tell our children, even in the Sabbath school classes, we tell children to go and do some artifacts, isn't it? Eh? Yeah, they don't have to be able to do very good drawing. Eh? A child can get something like this and trace a heart, and then color it. And then maybe get a leaf, cut it out, and bring it and stick it on his paper. And maybe put a flower somewhere. I mean, children can be creative. Give them the opportunity to. Okay? There's so much things that you can do with children. Craft activities. We can use puppets to teach children. Huh? You know the things that we do and we mimic and somebody is talking at the back of it and then something is acting and it will interest the children, to catch their attention, but yet at the same time they are able to listen and learn. Okay? And probably do what they are being instructed to do by the puppet. Are we together? Okay? So, you can do models, sculptures. You can do a lot of things. Okay? It could be drama activities. Some people want to act out certain things. Children of all ages enjoy skits and role play. You have gone to nursery schools and seen baby class presenting marvelous things, isn't it? Drama. That tells you that our children actually have a lot of opportunity to do so many things. We simply need to enable them. Because if you went to nursery school in baby class and you find baby class acting like doctors, like nurses, like, mothers, like, and they're doing it so perfectly well, what does that tell you? So as a parent, as a teacher, there's so much that we are supposed to do. There are interactive Bible stories. There are dramatized stories. We can do so much. There is so much. Life simulation activities. These activities help children apply the lesson to everyday life. Now, this would go for children who are around P3, maybe P2, 7 years and above. They can do simulation activities where they actually do, like food-related activities, fixing snacks, food for the poor, planning and designing programs, a wedding, a house, budgeting, stewardship, family living, playing house, etc., etc. There is so much that children can do. So while all of this lasts, I want to close in, okay, by asking a few questions and trying to get your participation, okay? I want to get your participation. Okay? So I want to get your participation. And I'm saying, today, like never before, we can get everything we need, by the way, from the internet even. If we think that we are incapable, we can go on, learn, and it will keep us abreast at the same level with where we need to be. If your child is given work, take interest in your child's work. Make them see and believe that it is important to do their work to completion. Because if you give up as a parent, if you do not care, then the child is learning from you. And they are doing exactly what you are telling them indirectly. And that you can support them all the way. Cheer them on. Tell them you can do it. I just gave you an example. I did that twice yesterday with a child of my student and with my own son. Reward them if it is necessary, if it is hard work especially. And remember, you will know if they have learned. Only if you make a review, or they can make a review of what they did. Now this I already said, which I am trying to end with, and then we will have some questions. I said before I end, I just remembered I do a lot of things with my own fingers. And this can be done by anyone. The most important thing is our attitude and interests. You can use any local materials available to you. It doesn't have to be expensive. I said you could get ribbons, but maybe ribbons can also be expensive. You may need something like 5,000 or so to buy a ribbon. But you can use thread, knitting thread, which is 1,500 echidondi. You can use thread, manila paper, crepe paper, even toilet paper itself. Paper roll refuse, these things that go on the toilet paper. Patch cloth. Patch cloth is pieces of cloth that have been cut from different, They can make very good patchwork. Quilts. Knitting thread, buttons, anything, even plants, fruits, or any food. The trick is always trying to make things memorable, things unique, and things fun. And that will be it. At this time, I want to ask Madame Leah to take over. If there are any questions, if there is any way forward, I would like to hear. Okay? And what are our implementation plans henceforth? And then at the end, as you answer your questions or as you contribute, I have a gift for everyone who contributes.
Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much, Teacher Angela. I want to believe Thank you so much. I want to believe we have picked something and we have quite a number of questions for her to address. Do we have any questions?
Thank you very much, Teacher Angela. My husband and I have 4 kids. We have 4 children, and our oldest is 20. We've seen many talents in the different kids. They're so different. And I think the biggest challenge we have is, for example, with the older one, because I think now we are starting to panic, where you feel this child has got so many talents, but they can't seem to settle on a particular one, to the extent that even with, where a child is intellectually gifted also, but is not able to say, okay, this is what I want to study in university or something. They're like, I could do anything. But they can't zero in on a particular something. How do you help? Because we have been trying to expose very exposed children. I think they're exposed, maybe too exposed, to the extent that they are so confused. I don't know. What do we do with such a child?
Wow. Now, by the way, as you ask me these questions, I'm not a genius. Neither am I probably the best person to answer all the questions, but I would like us to work together, okay? Because we've all gone through this kind of time that we have had together, okay? So maybe I should answer this question before and maybe ask someone who would help. Is there someone who would like to answer it before I do? Amongst us? Is there anyone who has such an experience? Or you have more questions? Okay. Or you do? Or someone wants to answer that question here, kindly. Yes. I forgot your name, even when you told me your name. Moho, yes. Yes. Good afternoon.
Yes, I may not really have a lot of experience in parenting, but this is a personal experience.
Yes.
Some of us are surviving and thriving in life, not because we narrowed down to one skill, but rather you do whatever comes your way. So actually, I would encourage mama to support and encourage them to do whatever they feel like doing. Because in this world, really, I think you need to do, actually, they're even intelligent enough to try so many things, and that's all that they need. So you don't need to tell them to focus on one thing, because actually experiences don't just come. When they come, they need actually different skills for you to be able to solve such challenges in life.
Wow. That's not something I would have told you. So thank you, Mohu. My daughter is going to senior 6 right now, and we are trying to make choices of what she could do. And she's doing physics, economics, mathematics, and I asked her to do ICT. I said I asked. She did not believe that it was important, but looking at the combination of physics, economics, and math, and being privileged to teach, I know that it would be good for all the particular professions that she could take on, the range. ICT would be an added advantage. So she's doing physics, economics, mathematics, and ICT. Now, she comes and says, Mommy, I am wondering what I could become. And what I did was, for me, I'm lucky because, of course, I'm teaching, so I have an opportunity to know so many things. So I went on and began to brainstorm a number of professions that she could actually do. She could do engineering, she could do surveying, she could do something to do with, and in engineering, several things, okay? Mechanical engineering, aeronautic engineering. That's something that she talked about when she was a child, aeronautic engineering, very young in nursery school. So in her nursery school, Alpha Kindergarten, Bukoto, they call her the aeronautic engineer because she said she wanted to be an engineer of aeroplanes. Now, at some point, she said she doesn't want to do that. In fact, when she went to senior 5, she wanted to do nutrition so badly. She loves nutrition, okay? And or literature. But also, she loved math. So when we took her to school, incidentally, they did not have an option for nutrition. Okay? Because of the COVID experiences, we decided to take her to international school. So she did not have the option of doing nutrition, which she loved so much. And then she looked at the literature option. It was also not very forthcoming. So she then went into her third option, which now came to physics, economics, and math. And I said we add on ICT. And right now, as I speak, she's telling me and us, she's saying, I want to be an air traffic controller. Now, for me, the mother, who is always cheerer, I am cheering on, and I'm saying it is okay. The father is here in issues and is like, you know, I am the father. I am going to pay school fees. Will you get jobs? How many people can get those kind of jobs in Uganda? You're Ugandan. And for me, I am saying the space is wide, you know? You can go anywhere in the world and be able to tap into your talent and actually grow it. Now, what I'm trying to say is almost similar to what he said. If your children, I don't want to call it confused, they are blessed. Because they are exposed and they have a lot of things that they could look at. What you could do is to have a conversational talk with them, a kind of mentorship coaching talk. And what you're looking at is solution focus. I'm a solution focused coach, so I do that a lot. So what we do is we get this person, put them in, they provide a frame, a photo frame. And for me, as a solution focused coach, I may not know what kind of picture is going to suit in there. But I will guide you to get there, and you can do that. You could ask them simple questions. Simple questions like, first of all, you would ask them to put up options of things that they could actually do, and then give a priority. You can do from a scale of 1 to 10. Which one would you like to do? Which one is at number 10? Which one is at number 7, number 5? And explain why you think so. Simple as that, okay? Those are some of the things I do as a solution-focused coach. So I get you to focus, okay? So we begin to look at these 3 out of maybe 5 options that you've got, and then you give me reasons as to why you think those 3 are okay. Are we together? Okay? Then eventually, I keep coming back. Like I told you, never give up on these children. Always bounce back. You could give a kind of relaxation break to give them time to reflect. Think about the things they have said. Think about the things they have liked. Think about the things that they haven't aspired to do. Okay? But then always come back to bring them to a point where they should make a decision. Okay? So you could have constant talks or several talks with them and try to understand what is it that they could do. Give a range. And then in that range, we begin to prioritize. Give priority positions. And then we give reasons as to why we are prioritizing. Okay? And then eventually get them to make the decisions themselves, not you. Are we together? So my daughter is up to today, by the way. Yesterday, she had an opportunity to talk to my cousin, who is in Dubai. He came for his wedding. So he comes home, and because she's sick, she's at home. So he asks her, what do you want to become? And she said, I want to become an air traffic controller. When the dad stopped her from that dream, she had actually stopped dreaming. So when she told him, I was listening, I was at the back and I'm listening, and I'm like, okay. And so he asked her several questions, and she answered, and she said, but I think in Uganda, the sorority flying school may not be able to provide this, like for me very well. What else could I look at? And I'm looking abroad, but I'm also looking at the monies. Will my parents be able to afford, and all that kind of stuff. So already she's synthesizing all of this in her mind, because she has got the solution points all within her. She has the ability to make the solution. Those children have the ability to make their own solutions. And all you need to do is to help them focus. I don't know if I'm supportive. Yes. Yes. The ones that are kind of small. Eh? A hotel manager. Yes.
I would have been the best world chef. Who knows? But it's where do you strike the balance between helping them make the right choices that are challenging enough than settling for, oh, this is a breeze, so this is what I'm going to do. I don't know if that's
where I will repeat the same answer. We are going to focus. Let us put up all the possibilities of things that we could do, okay? And then keep asking for priority listings and reasons as to why we are prioritizing. And then we reason together. You are supposed to support and never give up. Come back again, When the child thinks you have forgotten and you have given up, come back. And let this person know, stay on their toes, that Mommy and Daddy are conscious. They are following me, and I need to do something that will make all of us happy at the end of the day. Yes. Yes, please.
Most of us, by the way.
It is.
We wish children to the roots that we desire. what we desire is informed by a long experience. Sometimes from what we have seen from childhood up to now. And what we would desire necessarily doesn't mean it's the best for child A, B, C, whoever. So the role we can do, and I'm also struggling. Recently, I have my youngest child who is 10. Even in my living room, there is a hospital. Even her, what we call them, toys. Even today, come there, you'll find, in fact, 3 days ago, she got one of the toy who she thinks is sick, pressed something here, then put now these things we use in the telephones. What we hear what?
Stethoscope.
Now, the earphone she has used it as a connection to a drug container and is now hanging and this is a drip according to her. She's actually treating the sick child.
Lovely.
And I can't disturb her. In one of the corners in my living room, I've said, please don't disturb this setup. She has an office. I tell you, if you want a mirror, you want a scissor, you want a bandage, you want even masking tape, where you can't miss is in that corner.
Yes.
When I can just end at that level. What is our role to define the best for our children? And when maybe does this one start? Most times, friends, we begin when it is late.
Yes.
At a university is when we are struggling. You must take this. Because this one, because this one now, who tells you? What if after some years it doesn't and you forced your child? So the job we have is a practical dialogue. Because the way we want to dialogue, discuss, sometimes we want to discuss with our young children as if they were adults. Now I think, and I love what you are saying, that it should be a practical reality, which is experiential. Let's open all interesting avenues that we see in them, and then gradually we prioritize together with them. Again, it is not me to say you must take this, but we say for A, B, C, D, on what I have observed, by the way, you may not even say it. I can see you have a really interesting A, B, C, D. Which one do you think is number one? Recently at school, they said clubs. There were 7 clubs that she said she has interest in. We said, now, where do you like best? Last year, she took first aid. Is it first aid? Red Cross. But now she was disturbed because they had measured their uniform. When COVID came, they stole their money. Even if I brought her here, you'll find how sad she is because she loved Red Cross, but she has been intimidated because the uniform was stolen. They paid the money she has never got after 2 years. So you can see, when we don't observe well, we don't treat well, we can make messes. But also, let me say this, by the way. This consultant was my student. She was one of the best observable. Observed very well that before long, she identified herself with a character, and we confirmed that she has to lead 600. She has to become a head. Do we call female head student of 600 people? So you can see, and I respect her. So when she says was my teacher, it's because of how maybe I must have also done some good observation. But listen to this. Listen to this. By the way, as I stop, it is crisis, and listen to this. I know we are soon going out. It is crisis, the way I observe today, that some homes, and most homes, and including some of the Adventist homes where we have such seminars, to find that the best observer to our children is either domestic consultant. In fact, we go to work, actually, and we have to work. You say, now, waking up is that officer waking up the children. Now, showering is that officer. Breakfast, that officer. Now, when you go, you don't even really care of what happens in between. I know of somebody who actually was giving sedatives. Sedatives are like these things which make a baby sleep. Can you imagine a baby starting sleeping on drugs so that the domestic consultant can get time to also go out for peace? So Now, when that is going far, sometimes the best observer is a TV. You are not there, or even sometimes we are there. You even buy a lot of cartoons so that you are not disturbed. In fact, we are denying a big chance to our children, and we are killing our nation, and we are killing our church. Lastly, I don't know whether even some other time, or even to what extent. By the words we are talking about talents. Some of us even cannot identify our talent.
Mine.
No. I and some of our friends.
Yeah,
There are people who say, now, where is your talent? He says, for me, they are there. Now, if I cannot identify my talent, how do I identify a talent for my child? What does it mean? You know, one time we were at school, they said, now you must teach your children at school. I mean, from home. I tell you, when these children come at times, they challenge us. They say, now, in Kola, they're working. 0 plus now a cartoon and 1 is there. You say, what is this? Some of us started didn't even go. We call them this baby class, middle, and the rest. Nursery. We don't even know how we grab the mathematics and the English. They say a coin. When you speak vernacular, a coin, you have to speak English, my friend. But at least at my year 2, I knew how to slaughter a chicken. I tell you at year 2, because these other children come to my place, I remember, but we didn't skin, we didn't even get off the hair. In fact, we got hold of 3 small chicks, young chicken. We knew how to slaughter, then we just put in a binika. Binika is a what? A kettle. And I tell you, we cooked and overcooked, water was out, we added water. Before we ate, then the mother came. Says, what? Here are 3 almost overcooked chickens. At my year, how many? Years 2. I don't know how we grabbed them. I will never forget. You know, these are some of the things we need to observe and say, hey, this will be a soldier. This will be a scientist. By the way, it is only a war with Museveni. I should be assisting Putin to make him more friendly missiles. That is the kind of what I loved. To search today, for example, I'm the best I can make. Even come to my home tomorrow, I have 120 chicks, which actually they are there today. 120 cared by only 2 hens. And I have written a book. The other day I sold, I think, 400 books at Kororo. People are calling me even here at church. There are several calls I have just done this. Because they are looking for that technology. And that's not all. That's not all. There are several things. And we were supposed to have even been very deep, but we were intimidated. Let's not accept to intimidate our children. Let's not accept to have our children be intimidated. Yeah. May God bless.
Thank you very much, my teacher. That's interesting, you see. Yes, so mommy and daddy, I hope you've gotten something out of that. Yes. Do we have any other burning question? Yeah, there's someone here who has, oh, there is another one here, okay. I don't know how much time we have, Madame Leah. Okay.
I think Elder Lamban had a slight of what I had, because the way my sister sounds is the way my dad used to sound. He was confused with my social life, my skill, and my talent. When I am showing my social life, he would relate it to, that would be my skill, or that would be my... I grew up in the village, and I was so passionate about the old people. I would move around, help them, wash their pots, fetch them water. So I would think, I think you should be a nurse, you go and help people in the hospital. And I'm like, nurse? And then tomorrow he sees me do something, and then he says, I think you should be this. So I realized, when I grew up is when I realized, I think I didn't give him an expectation, or I didn't strive to show him that I was going to be this person. And then the list of things he knew I would be was a wife, because I never showed him anything like responsibility of Yet I was very. So sometimes we look at someone's social life and we think that is their skill or that is their talent. We get mixed up around there. I think that is what I faced as a child, and I'm also seeing it with my daughter. I'm confused. Today you see her doing this and you're like, I think this is a skill. There's only one thing I was able to identify with her is being strict. That the teacher as well told me that your daughter is so strict. When you tell her this, you should go by this. If you tell her that, so I don't know whether this is a skill, this is a lifestyle, so sometimes we get mixed up in the middle there.
Wow, so what do you want me to say? Can someone help me answer that question or respond to this lady? Pardon? It's more of a testimony. Okay. She must be a good leader, is she? Oh, yeah? Okay. So, of course, so many of those things lead us to what we become. So it's important that we take notice of the many things and then support and nurture. Okay? Yeah. Do we have...
Yeah, just about the two parents there, I'm responding to their experience with their daughter. I think I would say I'm speaking personally, because I too, growing up, I wanted to be so many things. I wanted to be an inspector, an investigator.
Like Inspector Derek.
Exactly, that's why. I grew up telling my father that. So I ended up doing law because of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but I wanted also to be a journalist. Then and work on radio or TV.
But you see all the things are rotating around similar things.
Exactly. I wanted to be a musician. My dad took me to piano school. But in all of these, I wanted to bake. All of these things have sort of been. Yeah, I have tried radio presenting. I have done baking. But you find your bearing. I would like to say, like, if the child is still in their 20s, this is when they are adventuring. So I would say that you let them be until they find their bearing. Growing up now, seriously now, I just have to, not just have to, but my passion is to solve, I like to do what? Dispute resolution, and that's in law. Even if I'm not practicing right now, but I'm going back to that. It's where I really, now I found, growing up, it's my bearing now. The child will find their bearing. My father too was that. He went to law school, but he first was in business. He used to do a business with medicine. He would get medicine from Germany and come and sell it to some pharmacies here. And it was working well with him, yet he had gone to law school. Then he went into teaching. He was an English teacher in Kenya. But at the end of the day, he went back to being a lawyer. Yeah? So I think the children would do adventuring. You'll go here, try this, try that. But at the end of the day, they'll find their bearing. We only need to just be talking to them. Because as I was doing baking, and when my dad didn't like it, he would always, insist, you didn't go to law school to do this. Yeah, it will settle in later. I would say that.
Wow, thank you. And I didn't get your name. With Muhu, I think those two experiences are very good ones because they're personal experiences.
Yeah, my name is Tamali.
Tamali.
Samali.
Oh, yes. Nice. Okay, good.
Thank you, teacher.
Yes.
I'm really grateful. I passed a vote of appreciation. I've learned quite a lot. Now, my question that I have is to do with discipline. I've appreciated the activities to engage in, the different things to bring to the youngsters. However, it's a bit of a gray area what to do in case they're not following your lead, or what they're doing, they're going to the extremes of what they should be doing. How do you go about disciplining them without pushing them to depression? You talked about shouting, abusing, sometimes also caning, could push them to the extreme. I've seen instances where mothers, instead of disciplining a child, they threaten them that they report them to their fathers. And then the fathers, you're not sure what should they be doing. Should they be the soldier in the home? So I wanted you to highlight a bit on how do you deal with disciplining children, especially in the different stages. Should you be speaking to them with a bit of a louder voice? Should you withhold certain things? How should you go about disciplining them?
Wow. This is interesting, but I'm not sure I'm the best to answer that because I cane. I don't tolerate bad manners. I am not good. I'm not tolerant at all. But I think it depends. The situation depends. You have to do a situation analysis. There are times when you need to spank, because probably that's the best way that you can get them to understand. But I know there are so many people today in the modern world who think it is ancient to cane a child. I still think it is okay to cane a child in certain circumstances. But, yes, not using big sticks. Not like a lion, yes, of course, okay, yeah. But then sometimes you actually need to talk, especially when something is extremely overwhelming. And you might get the person to coil and hide and run away from you. I think it's important to first befriend them and give them a break and pretend as if you did not actually recognize, and then get them at a point when they are now more trusting. And then you sit with them and get them to understand that the position they took at a point D was not the best and it could lead them to detriment. That's what I do. If I get overwhelmed, I don't act immediately. I actually pray about it. I fast and pray for my children when they get overwhelming, you know. I pray and fast and ask God. And then eventually I meet this child and speak to them, and you'll find them crying because they too feel pain for what they have done. And many times at that point, they will now feel like they trust you, and they know that you are there to protect them, and they will not want to go back to that situation. Yes, that's what is most important. So as Christians, I think it's important that we put it in the hands of God. But there are even simple things like praying for traffic. When I'm going, like now I was coming, I passed Shira and there's a lot of jam, you know, because in the morning I didn't know this church. So I said, okay, should I miss Divine here and miss Divine the other side? Let me go and have Divine. I'll go immediately after Divine. So when I was coming, I left church at 1:15 at Chimwanyi, Ikesi. And then I was like, now, this jam of Chira, it can be annoying. So when I got there, I just said, God, release the jam. And indeed, it just got released. And I was here in time. You see? So even simple things, we need to tell God. As long as we tell him honestly. If he knows that we're actually asking him honestly, he will help us. Yes. But don't go to God when you already know what to do, yeah. Okay, any other questions if there is, yeah. Yes?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Is it teacher or consultant?
Teacher Angela.
Teacher Angela.
And I know you have always told me to begin a nursery school.
Yeah, you are at the university, but I think there's more work down here.
Yes.
Which we are all ignoring.
Yes.
Starting with the last bit.
Yes.
When we were still young, there is a person who carried a timber and passed by our home. Me, I grew up from the church. My father was a pastor. And this timber looked heavy on him, so we started making fun of him. We continued until he just put it down, came back with us up to home, and reported us to our mother. Now, I'm born of a mother who never went to school, but she could understand, maybe being a pastor's wife.
Yeah, there's a lot
So
of
the man went ahead and accused us for having insulted him. Then we were almost being swallowed by the ground. We felt it was too much on us. And then he says, I'll deal with them, please. Thank you for informing me. After he had left, she asked us whether the man is not drunk. were in shock. We didn't know why she was asking that. He says, but my children never insult or abuse anybody. So how come this man thinks that he must be drunk? But we had actually insulted him. That one was, I don't know what it is, but it made us again start respecting people that would be passing by, because we're told that we don't insult people. Is that discipline?
Yeah.
So I think the way we talk to our children might mean a lot. I think my mother did that.
Wisdom. Mm.
Another time, we didn't want to get these beans out of the pots, me and my other brother. He left us. She left us. But what she did, she got these beans and got some matoke, put them on top, together with the beans, cooked. Down there was katogo. Up here, there is matoke, which doesn't have salt, and then the beans, which are not. How do they? And then when we came to eat, said, hey, wait, come. Put us aside, together with the beans and matoke. There was no salt, the beans, and he said, you must eat, and for you choose to prepare them as you eat. Next time we would be the first people to go for. I'm just trying to see how these parents, whether they are not learned, how they are able to raise us up responsible. And of course, somebody is saying we don't know our talents. You are very right, we don't know. Early 1990, I was in China. I found students of this side, our pathfinders and veterans. Some of them were in sports schools already, because they had discovered that this guy is good at. But I think the government itself, as Chinese, are very good at identifying talents. Let me ask, in the education department, and Mount Olive in particular, do we have people who can identify the talents of our people? Does that curriculum exist? So that we know, because we indeed, like me, I don't know my talent. I up to senior 4, I could not stand in front of people and debate. Yet I had the points. And the reason I was not doing that, I was intimidated. Because that time they would say buffalo. You know, you have a tense that is not correct, and they say buffalo. Now I was not ready to be given so many buffaloes, you see. So I chose not to debate until when I joined the university and I was made an interior minister by force, and then I found myself addressing people. You see? So you can imagine I delayed my ability to address the congregation because I was intimidated. You see? Now, let me change, because we are guidance. What are we saying? A certain research mentioned that 85% of the people spend 65% of their productive time on something they don't like. How many people are teachers when actually they don't want to teach? And every day they are reporting to work to go and teach. Sincerely, isn't that an issue that affects our productivity? The other day I was listening to somebody speaking. We have a shop at home. And this person was speaking Indian language, talking to Bob. Bob was in the shop. So he was speaking in India, you know, in this Indian English. You know it, you know what I'm saying. So I said, this customer must be annoyed. So I rushed to the shop to talk to the Indian. I didn't see an Indian. I checked outside, checked. There was no Indian. I came back, I asked Bob, where is this Indian that was speaking here? Bob said, I was the one who was speaking. Now, I have a comedian in the house. that I forced to do IT. You see? And he's a comedian. Maybe he would be like Kansime addressing conversions. And he's there because we neglect some of the things about Katemba. These guys are wasting time. But who is not now doing a lot with Katemba? You know? There is this teacher Pamire, is it teacher Pamire? He makes a lot of money. And he's entertaining us. When I find teacher Pamire, I might be late for the lesson study. Because the guy is talking, you see. And we miss out on those. We miss out the Kiploti. We think they are wasting time. I was very good at fine art. So one time my report came and my father said, now look here, you have even gone back, you see, because they had added my marks badly and I had become the 16th, you know, in the class where I was, because they added badly. So when the report came, that time we never used to go with report cards. So he was the first person to see the report. He said, now you see, the other day you were drawing this portrait of a bishop. They gave you money, yes, but it has killed your career. Hey, who told him that fine art could not be my career? You see? But he was looking at it as a waste of time. Footballers, we know who they are. We know them, you see? And then agriculture, of course, used to be a punishment. Wherever we would have a defaulters parade, you have to go and dig. Yes. Now, if I start going to do agriculture, I'm doing a punishment job, you see. So I think ultimately we need to go back now that we have adventurers. And I think you guys, let's face it. Let's face it. The other day I was walking from Banda and I chose to try and calm down. I stopped there. There is a church. Just behind here, there is a church. Worship Harvest. It has an entire school with an international curriculum. Who said that we can't have a school? Is it written somewhere in our manual? And they are teaching those people, and most people are there in that worship. Maybe we should start by ourselves actively identifying the talents of these children that are being born now and not tomorrow with our education department. I think it's food for thought.
I see we have something to brag about. For those who didn't attend today.
How can I forget my host? Okay, I think we are done, really. And I can see the time is running. I saw some people going away, which means probably you've stayed longer. At EKC, we stay up to 9 p.m. Right now, people are warming up to do choir and then have tea, and then we shall have a series on LNG White films and so on, you know, so until up to 9 o'clock. And then people go home. So Sabbath is a full day. Yes. Okay. And sorry about that incident. I know I spoke to some people, but probably I need to say this since I'm here. We pray to God. God is faithful, however, that everybody was alive, you know. Yes, so let's pray, I think, as we conclude. Yeah, let's pray. Our dear loving Father in heaven, we want to thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given to us to deliberate about issues that are very pertinent to all of us as a church. We pray that you'll continue to guide us, to lead us, and to help us be able to motivate, to mentor, to coach, and to support. And even as we learn ourselves, in Jesus' name I have prayed. Amen.
Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being patient and for being around. I trust and believe we have learned something that we are going to practice. Thank you so much.